For 18, it says that we need to solve. So I'm going to subtract 42 to both sides. And we get x squared equals 49. I square root both sides, and we get x equals plus or minus 7. In number 19, I have to set it up. So I'm going to say x minus 4 squared, because you're going to side times a side, or side squared, equals your area of 64. I'm going to square root both sides and get x minus 4 equals plus or minus 8. If I add 4 to both sides, I get 4 plus 8 and 4 minus 8. This gives me 12 and negative 4. Because this is a story problem, you have to pick the positive solution, not the negative 4. In number 20, we have to do 1 times 28. It's a factoring problem. And we're trying to get to negative 3. Factors of 28. Looks like 4 and 7 can make a negative 3. So 4 minus 7 is negative 3. And we write it in factored form. And we've talked about many, many times that when you solve this by setting it equal to 0, these are normally a one-step equation. If I subtract 4, add 7, I just get negative 4 and 7, which are the opposites of these two factors. Okay? 21 is the same thing as 20. It's just written differently. So you're still factoring. You're setting equal to 0, getting rid of the y, and it's still x factor. So 1 times negative 15 is negative 15. We're trying to get to negative 2. And we could use 3 and 5 and make 5 negative to match our signs, because 3 minus 5 is negative 2. We write it in factored form. And then our answers are just the opposite again. So x plus 3 equals 0. X minus 5 equals 0. My answer here would be a negative 3 and a positive 5. Okay, in 22, we cross multiply, but I always want my x on the left side. So I'm going to do x times x plus 9. And that's going to equal 2 times 5, which is 10. So x times x times 9 equals 10. I want to put this in standard form by moving my 10 to the other side. So I would subtract the 10, put it right here. So x squared plus 9x minus 10 equals 0. So negative 10 to 9 would be 1 times 10, and 10 minus 1 makes positive 9. So again, we write it in factored form. And we would just do the opposites. So x would be a positive 1 and a negative 10. Okay, for 23, we try x factor, bottoms up. So 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. And we're trying to get to negative 6. The factors of 16, 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 4 and 4. Can we get to negative 6? Yes, we could use 2 and 8. Where 2 minus 8 is negative 6. So for this one, since this worked, I could go ahead and do x factor and write it in factored form and divide by the first number. So this can divide to be x plus 1, and this can divide to be x minus 4. So this means that my solutions are opposites, negative 1 and positive 4. Okay, number 24, the square root of 36 is 6, and then you just take half of 30, and that means there would be 15 pairs of x's. In 25, you look to see which one is the perfect square, which is 64. Square root of 64 is 8, but 45 can break down. So it looks like we have a pair of 3's on the outside and the leftover 5 on the inside. And we see that the 3 and the 8, they don't reduce, they don't cancel, so we're just going to leave it. 3 radical 5 over 8.